It's cluecon Deconstructed. And if you were with us in the previous hour and you enjoyed those great talks by both Nikolai and Lorenzo, welcome back. Hope you had a good break and you're able to hang out in the broadcast cafe and ask any questions. I had a quick peek in there and saw both of the speakers were hanging out, and there was lots of other people in there as well. And if you've just joined us, welcome. We're excited to have you at cluecon Deconstructed. We've got two great speakers coming up, first of which is Norm Bradinger. I'm looking forward to speaking with him soon, but not until we've heard from Abby.
Hi everyone. Our last session of the day is just about to start. But before it does, I have a few announcements. So after our third session is over at 4:30 today at Central Time, come hang out with us in the lounge. If you need the link, it's on our website at cluecon.com. The founders of FreeSWITCH are going to be hanging out there, Anthony Minasali, Brian West, and Michael Jarris. And so we invite all of you to come join us, ask them any questions, just chit chat. If you don't have any insightful questions to ask, we're all just going to be hanging out in there. So make sure you catch that tonight at 4:30 p.m. Central. And while you're at it, make sure that if you aren't already, make sure that you've joined our Slack channel. That's where we're giving all the information that you could possibly need to know about the rest of the events for cluecon Deconstructed, and that's at signalwire.community. So if you haven't joined that yet, make sure to do so. And then tomorrow, make sure you're back here at 10 o'clock Central for the dangerous demos. And that night, we have the gigabit reception, which is going to be so much fun. That's at 4:30 p.m. Central, and it goes for 2 hours. We're going to have karaoke. That's where I'm going to be hanging out. We've got games. We've got chit-chat. Unfortunately, it is bring your own drink, but I have a feeling most of you won't have a problem with that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I don't have a raffle prize to give out right now, but at the end of these sessions, I do. And while we aren't giving this out yet, if you are interested in winning this beautiful laptop, make sure that you join us in one of our conference rooms and you'll automatically be entered to win. But if you don't win, that's okay. You can buy some SignalWire swag on our swag store. The link is on our social media channels, which if you aren't following already, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We've got cluecon and FreeSWITCH accounts. All the information is there and on our Slack channel as well. So I'll see you guys after your sessions are done, and I'm going to be giving away some really cool prizes. So make sure you keep your ears perked for that.
Thank you very much, Abby. One of the things that's always impressed me about cluecon when I started coming a good few years ago, even before I was involved in this exciting way, is the family feel of cluecon. It's always had a great feel to it. And I just wanted to emphasize how that is going to be very present in the lounge with the founders after this hour at 4:30 Central. So do feel welcome. Don't feel intimidated by their greatness. They're nice guys. And they're great to hang out with. And you'll find out.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
A lot of fun. Thank you.
Sure is. We'll see you the other side of the two speakers. Thanks a lot. Bye for now. And let's get Norm in. Hey, Norm B. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Pretty good. I feel a little bit embarrassed about mispronouncing your surname, but since you've given me permission to call you Norm B, I thought I'd run with that now. It's good to have you along, Norm. And I wanted to start by asking you just a little bit about your background, because you're talking about getting a module into FreeSWITCH. And I'm guessing then that you must have been hanging out in the FreeSWITCH community for quite a long time to build up the experience to do something like that.
Oh, well, I've been around the community for a couple of years, and was really impressed when Tony left Asterisk and working with those guys and started FreeSWITCH way back in the day. So I'd followed at a distance, as most people. We've got day jobs, and so my involvement was mostly small patches. Really minor feature additions, but Tony and Mike and Brian, some great people, and they've really put together a really excellent product.
Good stuff. Well, we're very grateful for your contribution, and you're here to talk about adding a module to FreeSWITCH, I believe.
Yes, I wrote Mod Mosquito. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to talk about a module that I wrote for this for cluecon. I call it Mod Example. I know there's a Mod Example out there, but this one's off in my personal repo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show from soup to nuts how a developer can create a new module.
That sounds like some great content, Norm. Let's get your slides up and allow you to proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and the entire team for creating FreeSWITCH, a truly groundbreaking piece of software. FreeSWITCH is groundbreaking because of its flexibility as both a feature-rich PBX and a carrier-grade soft switch. Business and customer requirements for PBXs and soft switches are ever-changing. Some changes are technological, such as a new standard or protocol being introduced. Others are regulatory, such as the recent legislation enacted to combat spoofed robocalls. Software developers tasked with providing solutions to these changing business requirements use the flexibility of FreeSWITCH and its ability to adapt. The FreeSWITCH architecture as a solar system diagram was presented by Tony at a cluecon a few years ago. It shows a stable core surrounded by subsystems that are both modular and scalable. The ability to adapt to changing requirements is provided by this modularity. This modular design goal was embraced as a core tenet by the FreeSWITCH developers. Modules are the mechanism that give FreeSWITCH its ability to grow and be flexible. Modules have been developed by the FreeSWITCH team, independent corporations, and open source contributors. This presentation will provide information to the software developer who wants to create a module that extends the functionality of FreeSWITCH. I'll discuss both fundamental and advanced topics related to the design of Mod Mosquito and the creation of an event handler module. FreeSWITCH events are triggered based on changes in many different subsystems. For example, a timer can trigger a heartbeat event. An inbound call can trigger an event, or execution of a background task can trigger an event. There are currently close to 100 different events defined. The developer also has the ability to create custom events. The FreeSWITCH event subsystem allows subscribers to be notified when an event is triggered. Subscribers to events can be both internal and external modules. Mod Mosquito and the example module being presented here are external modules that subscribe to the event subsystem. To understand events, we must understand the difference between synchronous and asynchronous execution. Sometimes during module execution, functions must be called to perform specific activities. When a synchronous call is made to perform one of these activities, the called activity must return before the module execution can continue. For example, to obtain configuration information, the load config routine makes synchronous calls to perform external activities. These activities will open and read the config file before returning. This is called synchronous processing. In another example, a synchronous call is made to the FreeSWITCH event subsystem to bind the module to an event. The execution of the module waits until the event subsystem returns. The event subsystem will, when an event is triggered, perform an asynchronous call to the event handler routine the module defined. For example, a module can call the FreeSWITCH's event subsystem indicating a desire to be alerted when a heartbeat event happens. The event subsystem will asynchronously make a call to the event handler routine whenever the heartbeat happens. Asynchronous execution happens outside the normal flow of the module. The main processing logic of the module does not know if, when, or how many times the event handler routine will be called. Writing modules that support an asynchronous execution environment requires implementation of safeguards. One safeguard is the use of mutual exclusion, or mutex, for controlling access to resources. If multiple asynchronous processes attempt to update the same resource at the same time, expect problems to happen. A common example of such a resource is a hash table, where entries can be added, searched, or removed asynchronously. Modules add new or expand upon existing features and functions of FreeSWITCH. Modules consist of routines written to perform a stated purpose, such as providing an implementation of a new protocol, performing speech-to-text processing, or interfacing to a NoSQL database. Modules are compiled and can be written in any language. The FreeSWITCH core is primarily written in C, C++, as are most modules. Mod Mosquito and the example module being presented are written in C. Developing a module in a language other than C or C++ is possible. However, it will require compatibility with FreeSWITCH core functions and data structures. The operation of most modules can be controlled by the use of configuration files. For example, Mod Mosquito configuration file supports publishing or subscribing to multiple topics, multiple brokers, and TLS security. FreeSWITCH and most module configuration files are written in XML. The use of config files in YAML, JSON, or a custom format is possible, but may require a little extra effort. There are currently over 180 modules in the FreeSWITCH repository. Many more exist in the public repositories of individuals and corporations. A developer creating a new module would be well advised to look at the source code and techniques used in existing modules. A word of caution needs to be brought up. Design reuse can, in some cases, be valuable. However, copy and paste programming without understanding the design assumptions will result in a module that performs poorly or incorrectly. Every module, even the most trivial, will require an understanding of at least half a dozen FreeSWITCH macros and function calls. Mod Mosquito was written to add MQTT protocol support to FreeSWITCH. MQTT is an open OASIS and ISO standard. It's an extremely lightweight publish-subscribe messaging protocol. Publish-subscribe, or PubSub, is a messaging pattern where publishers send messages to a broker instead of to a specific recipient. The broker will send the messages to all the recipients that have created an appropriate subscription. Mosquito is part of the Eclipse Foundation. It's an open source message broker that implements the MQTT protocol. The OpenStack upstream infrastructure service are connected to an MQTT message bus with Mosquito as the MQTT broker. It's been reported that Facebook Messenger also uses MQTT. And MQTT is a very popular protocol used by IoT devices. Mod Mosquito has used MQTT successfully to interact with both Mosquito and Rabbit MQ brokers. The decoupling of the publisher from the subscriber offers many benefits. The publisher does not need to know the address or number of subscribers. The subscriber does not need to know the address or number of publishers. Consider auto-scaling FreeSWITCH instances. When a new FreeSWITCH instance becomes active, it publishes a heartbeat to a message bus or broker. If the business logic has subscribed to the heartbeat messages, it will receive the heartbeat for the new FreeSWITCH that has become active. The business logic does not have to have any FreeSWITCH instances predefined. Similarly, when a FreeSWITCH instance is removed by autoscaling, heartbeats from that instance will cease being published. The business logic can detect their FreeSWITCH instance is no longer active when a heartbeat is not received. Now consider the business logic around a call destined for a FreeSWITCH instance. Each heartbeat contains the number of calls currently being handled by the FreeSWITCH instance. If the business logic maintains a list of active FreeSWITCH instances with the current call counts, it's a trivial matter to route the call to the least loaded instance. A decoupled architecture is key to solving many scaling problems. FreeSWITCH was designed at its core as an extensible system. The event subsystem is a core component that provides access to real-time information related to the operation of FreeSWITCH. Modules are the fundamental building blocks used to extend FreeSWITCH. The pub-sub messaging pattern enables decoupling and scaling in cloud environments. Mosquito was written to add MQTT protocol support to FreeSWITCH by using its modular architecture, the event subsystem, and external libraries. Before developing a new module, you should be able to download, compile, and install FreeSWITCH from source. The largest effort will be to install the prerequisite software needed for a successful compilation. Many online examples exist that make this process easier. A high-level understanding of auto tools will be helpful, especially if your module has external library dependencies, such as OpenSSL. You should be familiar with C, C++, because a large amount of the FreeSWITCH core and supporting routines are written in it. The overarching naming convention is that everything of interest within FreeSWITCH has a switch prefix, a switch underscore prefix. Many macros and functions were written in support of the core FreeSWITCH product and should be used where appropriate. Most of these macros and functions are defined in switch_utils.h. If a common function is needed, chances are high that it's already been incorporated into FreeSWITCH with a switch underscore prefix. For example, take the common C process of freeing memory. First, check to confirm that the pointer to the memory location being freed is not null. Second, free the memory. Third, set the variable that previously held the memory pointer to null. This has been implemented by the single switch safe free macro. Using these helper macros will make your code easier to write and reduce errors. Compiled modules are located in the FreeSWITCH source mod subdirectory. Below the mod subdirectory are multiple categories. The categories are identified by the type of function the module provides or the primary subsystem that it interacts with. Categories are not a technical requirement, but are useful if looking for a module that performs a specific purpose. For example, if you're looking for a text-to-speech module, looking in the ASR_TTS subdirectory would be a good place to start. The new out-of-tree build framework allows module source code to reside outside of the FreeSWITCH repository. Out-of-tree builds pull module sources from outside the FreeSWITCH repository into the out-of-tree subdirectory prior to compilation. Mosquito uses the out-of-tree build framework. Its source is located at github.com/FreeSWITCH instead of github.com/SignalWire, where the FreeSWITCH project resides. The source code for the example module is also using the out-of-tree build framework and is located in my personal github.com/normb sub-repository. The only changes required to support out-of-tree builds is an update to modules.conf indicating the location of the module source code. The following slides are going to show source code. If you maximize your browser window, they may be easier to view. This is an example of a very small module that compiles cleanly. It shows the mandatory boilerplate code. The variable names in red are of interest because they are created by macros. The partial macro expansions in blue show these variables. The variables are not defined locally by the developer, but are often used in the module. For example, the address of a memory pool the module may use is passed in the pool variable. However, this variable is not explicitly defined by the developer. These variables and their definitions are often a source of confusion for new module developers. Modules generally consist of 3 routines. Load is executed when the module is loaded, shutdown is executed when the module is unloaded, and runtime is executed frequently by FreeSWITCH as part of its main processing loop. This is the Makefile.am file for the example module. A minimum of 2 files are required to successfully build a module. One is the source code of the module, and the other is Makefile.am. An understanding of auto tools will be useful as your module grows in complexity that requires updates to Makefile.am or additional configuration files. For example, Mod Mosquito requires both Mosquito and SSL libraries to be available for compilation. To confirm that these libraries exist and their location properly identified, configuration files in addition to Makefile.am are needed. This is an include file for the example module. The first line contains a macro to shorten the typing of log commands. During development, you'll likely find that adding a lot of logging statements is a benefit. Module developers have created many helper macros similar to this. A review of other modules will provide many useful ideas. Remember that copy and paste programming without understanding the underlying design of what you are copying can have negative consequences. The structure variables highlighted in red identify 2 common organizational techniques. The first structure contains important data associated with each of the events the module will be subscribing to. Pointers to instances of this structure will be saved in the hash table for easy access. The second structure contains global data that the module will use. When the complexity of the module expands to multiple files, prudent use of global variables is useful. FreeSWITCH defined types start with switch underscore and end with an underscore T, indicating it's a type definition. Remember that everything of interest in FreeSWITCH starts with switch underscore. This is the subroutine that is executed when FreeSWITCH loads the example module. Boilerplate code is shown that initializes the memory pool, a mutex, and a hash table. The ability to use the console interface is set up, and finally, the configuration file is processed. Remember, subroutines that start with switch underscore are part of FreeSWITCH. The 2 subroutines highlighted in red are local to this module. This is the configuration file for the example module. FreeSWITCH and this example module read their config files from the autoload underscore configs subdirectory. Each events element can contain multiple event elements. The example module is being configured to subscribe to both heartbeat and create channel events. This is the load config routine. It's responsible for reading and parsing the configuration file. The red highlighted events variable shows the parsing of the events element. The for loop highlighted in green is a very common construct used by many modules as well as FreeSWITCH internally. In simple terms, the for loop iterates through each event, stopping when all of the events have been processed. Another common construct is shown by the var and val variables highlighted in red and green. They contain the parsed components of a single event configuration line. When an event configuration line is identified, a new subscription to the event subsystem is performed by the two lines in blue. The first line determines an event ID from the human-readable event name, such as heartbeat. The second line requests the event subsystem to alert our event handler whenever the particular event is triggered. The last thing that our for loop does is to add the newly created event to the hash table. This is the event handler routine for our example module. When FreeSWITCH generates an event that the module has subscribed to, the event handler routine will be asynchronously called. The routine will create a JSON string from the source contents, from the event contents, and then print it. The interface to the console is set up by this routine. The interesting items are highlighted in red. The mod example load routine calls this subroutine. The switch add API macro will set up the console command. Whenever example is entered at the console, the execute API command is called to parse and execute the logic associated with the command. This subroutine is executed when the example command is entered at the console. It has been shortened to show only the interesting parts. Note the use of the mutex highlighted in red. It protects the hash table from being updated by another part of the module. If a new event is added or removed from the hash table while we're looping through it, the module is likely to crash. The for loop in green is a common construct and is very similar to the one we looked at in the load config routine. When example status is entered at the console, a list of events the module has subscribed to will be displayed. The example shutdown routine is executed when FreeSWITCH shuts down or the unload mod example command is entered at the console. The routine is responsible for cleaning up any resources previously allocated by the module. Of special note is the memory pool passed to the module. Any memory allocated from the pool will be freed by FreeSWITCH on behalf of the module. Memory pools, even locally defined pools, cannot be freed by the module developer. They are deallocated when the module is unloaded. The code highlighted in red is another example showing how access to the hash table is controlled using a mutex. The code highlighted in green is another example of the common for loop construct. The shutdown logic unbinds each of the event subscriptions we've been using. It will then deallocate the other resources the module previously allocated. FreeSWITCH does a good job of cleaning up module resources. However, the developer is always responsible for freeing any previously made allocations. This is the FreeSWITCH console showing execution of the example module. The load module example, the load example command was called, and the displayed command is highlighted in red, resulting in the two events being subscribed to shown in green. After some period of time, the event handler was called and displayed the heartbeat event details. After the heartbeat details were displayed, the example status command was entered. The output correctly displays the two events the module subscribed to. Finally, the unload example command was entered. The resulting display shows the subscription to the two events were removed. This list details some of the techniques presented. In an effort to highlight important coding constructs and to reduce the overall code size, all error checking has been removed. The example module is useful for educational purposes, but is not suitable for production environments. The links provided point to the example module used in this presentation, Mod Mosquito, and 2 relevant FreeSWITCH documentation pages. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you, Norm. We did. A comprehensive amount of information in there. As you said, a soup to nuts, and we're grateful for that. And I hope that you will join us in the broadcast lounge or in the lounge with Tony, Michael, and Brian just a little bit later in case people need to ask you any questions about that. Excellent. That's good news. Now, our next speaker, stick around for a moment with us, please, Norm, because our next speaker is very well known to you. Both of you have been in and around the FreeSWITCH community for a good long time. When's the last time you two guys saw each other face to face?
Oh, I think, Giovanni, we saw each other in Amsterdam.
Okay.
At one of the open
And I think that the last time we all three met was the last Q Club. So was 2019 in Chicago.
That's possibly true, but as you heard, Norm was saying
Yeah, we were all three. Because with Norm, maybe we then met at the OpenSIPS Summit too. In
Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. And I just want to thank Norm, because I mean, your presentation was I mean, I made a chapter in the book of FreeSWITCH about how to write a module, but your presentation was 10 times more detailed, more deep, and it was so complete. I mean, really, in just the short time of a presentation, you managed to give a total course about how to write a module in the right way. So congratulations.
Great stuff.
Thank you, Giovanni. And a lot of that was also taken from the books that you've helped write.
That's excellent stuff. This is the power of community. Thank you both for your contributions. We're going to say goodbye to you now, Norm. Thanks a lot for your presentation, and we'll see you in the lounge. And here we are with Giovanni. Good to see you, Giovanni. Where are you speaking to us from today?
We are located in Italy, in the north of Italy, and the city is called Milan. And actually, we're moving right now to the mountains. So you can't see right now, but I'm all around me is full of boxes, carton boxes with all the things that are waiting for the trucks in a couple of days that will move to the mountains. So it's all the north of Italy that is saying hello to the open source community and to the real-time communication people.
Great.
And
oh, sorry, do continue. In that case, let me jump in, Giovanni, and can I ask you to switch on your screen share while I tell people that you're going to be speaking about a project called SaraPhone, which we're quite excited about. It's a bare bones WebRTC phone in the browser, and I believe that it's loosely based, or based, I should say, not loosely based, on JS-SIP. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's based on SIP.js, but maybe I don't take the button to share the screen here.
Ah, okay. Let me just talk to our producers and see if anything needs to change in order for you to get your screen share button up just there. Can you see it's at the bottom, right near the left-hand side?
Now I have.
Great. Okay.
Now,
yeah. Go ahead. Switch that on. Well done, that man. Okay. Yes. So you were telling us about the the project SaraPhone. What made you choose to do something like that, Giovanni?
I will tell you during the presentation, but I can anticipate that SaraPhone is named from my wife, Sarah, and it was more or less a gift for her, more a dedication, because I mean, she bear me and she support me and understand the long hour that I'm giving, like all of us in open source community, in doing those things like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, on the phone to have some echo or some feedback, and so it's really precious to have a human that can understand that and that doesn't think you are a stupid fool.
Yeah, that's great. I think another qualification of a VoIP wife is one that says, "Why can't I just have a normal phone that plugs in the wall like everybody else? You know, why do I have to deal with all of this?"
And that works every time.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Giovanni. Well, now that you've given us that introduction, we'll pop your screen up, and then you can begin your presentation. We're looking forward to it. So away you go.
Okay, so I see that you can see well the PDF, and just a little word about myself. I'm Giovanni Maruzzelli. It's a very long time that I stick around within the internet, and then working mainly with open source telecom. And I'm a consultant working mainly for medium and big customers as a CLEC telecom operator or enterprises. And I wrote the books with Anthony about FreeSWITCH and the ecosystem around FreeSWITCH. Let's start directly with our theme of today. That's SaraPhone. That's again named about my gracious wife. And SaraPhone is what I was looking for when I first had this kind of need. So I was looking for something that was a WebRTC client that was speaking standard SIP, a protocol that was already implemented in the infrastructures of my customers, and so it can blend seamlessly. But that was, I mean, very clean and very easy to understand, to modify, and to customize. So let's call it a bare bone, with the meaning that is not with many lines of interface. So the HTML is completely clear. The CSS is really poor, and the JavaScript is very procedural. So more or less, you grab SaraPhone from GitHub, you give it a view with whatever editor you happen to use, and after 10 minutes you understand how it works, and you're able to modify it. SaraPhone is based on SIP.js, and SIP.js is a fork of JSIP. That JSIP was the first implementation of SIP protocol in JavaScript by the Basque VoIP Mafia. And after that, we had this fork, SIP.js, that's very well maintained because there is commercial ITSP and trunk provider in Germany that is supporting its continuous development. And so it's a JavaScript library that implement more or less all the standard part of SIP. And with this library and some line of JavaScript and some HTML for the buttons, you're able to have a functional client. SaraPhone works with any kind of SIP server, obviously through WebRTC, but WebRTC is just a transport. So any kind of server that can have in front of it WebRTC gateway, or that is able to speak directly WebRTC, is able to interact with SaraPhone. So the most important are FreeSWITCH, Fusion PBX, that is FreeSWITCH with a guy, and Asterisk, OpenSIPs, Camelio, I mean, all the usual gang of servers that we're used to work with. SaraPhone is open source and is very, very simple to modify, customize, and you can use it as a base for your work. And this is the GitHub, but you can just Google for SaraPhone and you'll find it, but or you can go directly in GitHub and key SaraPhone in the search box. And let's understand the need for SaraPhone is there was a complete lack, for what was my understanding, of a full-featured desktop desk phone replacement, so business phone, and in that has all the features that an enterprise phone that we normally found in a company. So ability to hot desk, so to impersonate different SIP account or different login, to redial, to have the BLF, so the lights that describe if someone else is on the phone or is free to take our call. MWI, message waiting indicator that tell if there is some voicemail waiting for us to retrieve. Do not disturb when we are in a meeting or simply we are out of desk and we want the phone to automatically answer with a busy signal, so to refuse the calls. And interaction with phone book, a possibility to put the call on hold, to transfer the call, to mute the call, but also to do an attended transfer on a consultation transfer that depend on the term that you use. And there are other features too. So desktop notifications. So you're browsing the internet and or you have your browser minimized. But if you have an incoming call, it will pop up a desktop notification and will tell you, and you can click on the notification, and the correct browser windows will open in front of you. And there is buttons for setting the auto answer and for also for muting ring. And this muting ring and the auto answer are very useful. For example, when you implement click to call into some CRM, so you click on the CRM and the server will send a call to you, send a call to your contact, and then bridge the calls. If you have auto answer activated, you don't have to hear the ring and to answer, but you will simply be connected to your contact through some CRM. And SaraPhone runs on all kinds of browsers, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, etc., and works well both on desktop, so on your laptop, on your computer, and on smartphone, so on little screens where the geometry of the presentation will be changed and different. There are two flavors of SaraPhone, and they are both in the GitHub, in the same GitHub repository. And one is a standalone client that are all the standard features, and it works with whatever SIP server, and is implemented as an HTML file and use the same JavaScript that all SaraPhones use. It's very easy to extend. You just, for example, on Asterisk, you create some feature code, maybe some star code, and then you link a new button in the HTML to execute those feature codes in the JavaScript. And in this way, you can easily extend the functionality to follow your enterprise feature in the for your customers. And these are some first screenshots, and this is, let's say, the SaraPhone on idle, that is just sitting on your desktop. We can see from up to down. The first button in green is for redial, then in yellow you have the do not disturb, then you have the voicemail indicator, if there are voicemail waiting, and if you click on it, you will be connected to the voicemail. And then you have contacts to check for some phone book. The buttons for the muting of the ring and the auto answer, then the one for choosing which speaker and microphone you want to use. And on the on the right column, you have BLF. In this case, you have just one BLF that is not engaged in any call. So the button is green, and the person is free to take your call. If you click on the BLF, you will be connected to that person. On the bottom of the screen, you see a pale blue button that is allow call notifications, and this is to give the permission to the browser to show you some pop-up when there is an incoming call. So you can click on the pop-up that's not pop-up, it's a real notification. I mean, there is a specific HTML5 protocol implemented by all browsers about desktop notifications. And this is when you have an incoming call, and so on the display, you see from who the call is coming, and in this case, it's coming from another internal extension, and so you see the caller ID name, SNOM, and the caller ID number 1011. And now we have already clicked on the answer button, so the geometry of the client changes, and it shows us other kind of buttons, particularly from up to down, the button for holding, and that will became unhold the call, for muting your microphone, and for doing an attended transfer or a blind transfer, blind or direct transfer. And on the BLF column, you see the person is now taking a call, so it's not available for you to call. Now, let me introduce Fusion PBX. We all know that is the premium graphical and web interface to FreeSWITCH, and is able to configure all part of FreeSWITCH. And the interesting and the most important part of Fusion PBX is that it gives a very nice and thorough web interface, but it exposes all the power, all the feature of FreeSWITCH in terms that are familiar to a FreeSWITCH user or to a FreeSWITCH programmer, because Mark Crane, the main developer of Fusion PBX, is striving to stay very close to the FreeSWITCH customs and documentation. So is immediately understandable for us FreeSWITCH users, but it's very easy to use for our customers or admin or who we want to delegate the local maintenance of a PBX. Is open source, commercially supported by the Fusion PBX company, and has a very lively community that works with it. Fusion is made by two main parts. One is the web interface that's written in PHP, and you can find millions of people that can modify it and customize it for you. And the other part is FreeSWITCH services and scripts that directly interact with the calls. That's written in Lua, and Lua is the most important language for FreeSWITCH. Thousands and thousands of scripts are in production worldwide, and is the favorite language for writing professional FreeSWITCH interactions with calls. And Fusion is modular, has this concept of apps beyond the core. So when there is something new. For example, you want to add an IVR management, you just create an app that interact with the call, creating an IVR menu. Or you want to manage the recording of calls, you create an app where you click on it and the call will be recorded, and so on and so on. So, and both the interface part and the scripts part are based on an underlying library of common features and common functions that can be reused. So it's very easy to create a new app starting from some other app. And let's be back to our SaraPhone, but this time in its full power as a Fusion PBX client. So SaraPhone is completely integrated in its Fusion PBX app, and has additional features on top of the features of the standalone client. It has obviously a menu item that will show you SaraPhone from the user menu as an automatic login. So you are logged in into the web interface of Fusion PBX as your own user. And if you click on SaraPhone, it will automatically log in on your SIP account. And it has account provisioning using the same schema for phone provisioning that is used for Yealink, Polycom, etc., and is part of Fusion PBX. Same for BLF. It used the same templating and the same web interface to manage his own BLF list. And the interesting things is that, for example, if you are a normal company user, that you have your own Yealink on your desktop, without doing nothing, you just happen to be at another desktop, or your own desktop, or on your smartphone, and you just connect to SaraPhone, and it will impersonate your Yealink. So you will find your same SIP account, SIP login, you have the same BLF, the same phone book with click to call, the MVI. So you will see the message waiting for your Yealink on your desk in company. Also, if you are maybe in the street with your smartphone. And let's see, I see that I have just 1 minute. Let's see some screenshots. And this is Fusion. This is Fusion with an Italian interface. And you click on app, and the last voice down is SaraPhone. And then this one has a lot of BLF, and in the new version you will have the BLF nicely distributed in many columns. And this is during a conversation. So for example, we use in some implementation app to 60 or 100 BLF for small companies where the office attendant, office manager want to have all the company under control and see who is on call and who is able to receive call from her. And I just arrived at the clock. I know my time is finished.
Perfect timing,
Giovanni. Get questions.
That was excellent, Giovanni. Thank you very much for that. What we'll do is, I didn't see any questions come in the channel I was looking at. And so what we'll do is allow people to come into the lounge where the founders are, because it won't all be the founders talking, although we love them very much, but there'll be other community members chatting away in there as well. And so we will hold over the questions until then. So if you would like to go to the lounge, and I'm going to announce the lounge now. It's going to be Checkout Charlie's is the name of the lounge to go to. A bit of a Git reference there, Checkout Charlie's. After this session finishes, make your way there immediately, and everybody will be in there to talk to. But thank you for that, Giovanni. I heard you give a quick mention to the Basque VoIP Mafia, and I thought we should just say a quick hello to Jose, Iñaki, and Saul, and thank them for everything they do. And also, you mentioned Fusion, and we should mention Mark. You mentioned Mark and Len over there at Fusion PBX. The perpetrators of perhaps one of the most memorable, dangerous demos in history, when last year they did that Raspberry Pi with the battery pack in the bubble wrap and duct tape getting kicked and thrown around the place. That was fun.
It was definitely spectacular.
It really was. But thank you very much for your presentation. And I'm very impressed that you identified that need, because you're quite right. There are so many phones out there that don't have some of those standard features that people look for on a business phone. So great call there, Giovanni. Thanks for that.
Bye to all.
What we'll do is say goodbye to Giovanni. Thank you. And we'll say hello to Abby, because I know for the whole of the last hour, Abby, you've been itching to give something away.
I am so excited to be able to pick our new raffle winner, and I can already tell you right now who has won, and that is, drum roll please, and the winner is Just Howie. No last name, just Howie. But we do have his email. He's from Phonative, and he's one of our sponsors, so yay, double. And he's the winner. So we don't know his last name, but he does, and he's going to be getting an email. So don't you guys worry about it. And he is winning a FreeSWITCH hoodie. So exciting.
That's amazing.
We've never had a FreeSWITCH hoodie before. So this is some good stuff. Woo!
Good,
and if you're listening right now and you're jealous and you wish that you could have a FreeSWITCH hoodie, you can, because this year we have a ClueCon swag store open until August 13th. So the link is on our social medias, which if you're not following us already, you should go and follow us on all of those on FreeSWITCH, or on Facebook and Twitter. We've got a FreeSWITCH and a ClueCon account. And then make sure you're following us on our Slack channel as well, signalwire.community, especially if you want to win this beautiful MacBook Pro that we're giving away, because we're going to be putting all of the information about the rest of our events on our social media. So if you want to attend, if you want to be eligible for this raffle, all you have to do is hang out with us for a little bit in one of our conference rooms throughout the rest of today and tomorrow, and you'll automatically be eligible, which David mentioned. We have an event right now. We're going to be hanging out with the founders of FreeSWITCH. There's some super cool guys. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you come chat with us, you'll automatically be added to the raffle. And then tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central are the dangerous demos, which are going to be so much fun. I won a prize myself last year, not to brag or anything. But and then we've got the gigabit reception tomorrow at 4:30 Central Time until 6:30 Central Time. So make sure you mark your calendars for that. Take off a couple hours from work. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be karaoke. We're going to have different kinds of games. We're going to be playing our guitars and singing in the open jam room. So if you have an instrument, make sure you grab one. We'll also have rooms just for chit chat, if you don't want to sing. And yeah, so make sure you join us for the Gigabit reception. Bring your own drink. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's all I have for our announcements. So.
Thank you, Abby. But very importantly, between those two, between
Yes.
the dangerous demos in the morning and the Gigabit reception in the evening, we've got some power-packed presentations.
Yes.
Not only powerful presentations, but meaty messages. Not only meaty messages, but killer content from 6 amazing speakers. And I'm going to identify them now. Bang on 12 midday Central Time, we've got Lorenzo Mangani, one of the 3 Lorenzos of VoIP. He's from the Homer Project, and he'll be introducing us to the latest release there. Then we've got Matteo Valentini from open source project Nethesis. He's going to be talking about remote provisioning services as a service. Looking forward to that one. Any presentation that's got a title that says services as a service, I'm looking forward to. Then we've got a fantastic Kama-Ilio hour with Daniel Konstantin Mierla and Fred Posner in a double. It's like a tag team of Kama-Ilio goodness there. And then after that, we've got Jerry Eisner from the world of E911. He's a specialist and a man of much experience there. And then we're rounding off with our own Piotr Gregor talking about Stir Shaken. And I know that the Signal Wire giveaway of the Stir Shaken library has created a lot of excitement in the community. So we'll hear about that. So it's all action-packed, Abby. We've got so much to give people tomorrow. But right now it's time to head off to the lounge. So thank you very much. And we can both say bye-bye to everybody. See you very soon.
See you in the lounge, everyone.